Hey yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I just want to go through a little video. And know it's something different, but I want to just go through who I think is going to be in Mortal Kombat 13. So I made this little tier list maker thing, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to tier these characters and their chances of being in MK13, and I'm going to explain why. I go into a little detail for every character in the game, or every Mortal Kombat character, which is down here. And let's just get started. So Jarek. I honestly don't think Jarek is gonna be in an MK game anytime soon. I know they were reviving, a lot of 3D era characters. If anything, he had a chance of being a cameo, but there's no way we get Jarek in the game if Kano's in the game. I honestly do think Kano's gonna be in the next MK game, but Jarek, he's obviously a Black Dragon member. His moveset was very similar to Kano, but I feel like it's too early, and there are better Black Dragon, members to do instead of Jarek. So next is Sector. Now Sector is a little bit of a tricky one. Sector was sort of, he was an MKX, he was an MK11, and then he was an MK1. Obviously, I don't think Sector has a very high chance, but we had the Chaos Reigns. But the thing is, Chaos Reigns didn't really set up for the next MK game. It felt more of like a reason to just put fan favorites into the game, Sector, Cyrax, and Noob Saibot. But it does really set up, for Cyrax being a main roster character, because she is going to be like the Lin Kuei Grandmaster now, I guess, right? So with that in mind, I think Sector and Cyrax, they're not like up there, but they do have a high chance, especially how they were not in a main game release since MK9, I believe, because they were DLC in MKX, they were NPCs in MK11, and MK1 they were DLC again. So they haven't had like a main game release. So basically, like, they haven't released with the main game and the main story since MK9. And usually I've noticed a lot of these classic characters, they go on like a cycle. So like, obviously you have those guaranteed guys like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, right, that are gonna be in the MK games. But you have these characters that kind of alternate games, right? You have characters like Cabal, Ermac, Reptile, they're in like every other game because they can't have the same characters in every single game, right? And then I think it's just time for Cyrax and Sector's turn. But since they were DLC in MK1, I maybe think that they will, there's a higher chance that they will be in MK13, especially with the ending. Next up is Jade. I do think Jade is, has a 95 to 99% chance of being in it because, she's not DLC in MK1. She hasn't been introduced in this MK timeline yet, Liu Kang's timeline. She has been mentioned a lot, and she is a fan favorite. And she was in MK1. That was her last game that she was in. She was not in MKX. She was in MK9. I do think that Jade sort of is going to be the replacement for like Tanya in the game. I don't think Tanya will be in it in the main roster. I think she will turn into one of those like jobbers that, rotate games. But I think it's Jade's turn, especially how, if we're going to explore Melina and like her Outworld reign and like the Outworld Civil War, which I think they will go more into in the next game, I think that, Jade has a pretty high chance. Next up is Ashra. Where does Ashra stand? So she had a little bit of a good role in MK1. She had a whole story mode chapter. She was, I'd say, she wasn't a very important role in the story, but she was there and she did have that little moment. I don't think she was really like a fan favorite because you got to think of like popularity. I could be biased and put whoever I want because I mained Ashra. But realistically, I say it's like a 50-50 chance. She did have that arc with Kai, she's going to Earthrealm now, and then that arc with like Serena and stuff, but I think that out of all like the returning 3D era characters, she's more of like the replaceable ones. It depends if they're gonna go into like, Serena and people like that, or her other sister if they make her a playable character, or if they go into like a Quan Chi or Noob Saibot story. But I don't think so. Blaze, I really don't think Blaze is gonna be in the game yet. I'd say like a 30 to 50% chance if he is in the game. Actually probably less than 30. If he is in the game, he's probably gonna be like in the background or some sort of like guest, or not guest, but like he'd be like in the backstage if they have like the pit or something, or it'll be like Human Blaze. And I really have nothing much to say about it because technically we already had that Armageddon moment at the end of MK1. Blaze was nowhere to be found. It doesn't make sense to have another Armageddon moment with Blaze. So I think it's going to be in the lower end of the spectrum. Cassie Cage, I think it's going to be 30 to 50% because we haven't introduced Sonya yet, and there's really no reason Cassie or any of like the core combat kids should be in the game because Cassie and Sonya haven't, Sonya and Johnny haven't met yet, so there's really no reason for Cassie's existence unless they do some multiverse BS or merge timelines. That's why I'm putting her on the lower end, especially how it was rumored that the combat kids were going to be in the next DLC that got scrapped. So I think that there's a chance that they may be DLC, but I don't think they're going to be in the the main game. Next is Bo Raicho. Bo Raicho, he has a fairly important role in the original timeline. He mentored Liu Kang and a bunch of other major fighters. He hasn't been introduced yet, but I think he has a pretty solid chance because I know he's a joke character. NetherRealm sees him as a joke and the fans see him as a joke, but I feel like he could be fairly reintroduced well, especially if they go more into like the White Lotus and what goes on in Earthrealm. And then he's a pretty recognizable character despite him being like disliked. I think that he could be like a good switch up. He could be like a comic relief character in the game. And I don't know where they could go with him, but I think he has a pretty solid chance, like a 50 to 75. Last game he was in MKX as DLC. Next is Cetrion, the Elder Goddess. Now, where does Cetrion go? Now, this is a complete wild card because she seems like a character to me that could just be placed in anywhere in any game because she is like some sort of like this neutral ground character. They could make her like some sort of hero, some sort of villain, and plus this is a character that was introduced in MK11, so I'm sure that Ed Boon wants to expand on the characters that NetherRealm created other than Midway, like what they did with Garrus. I think that she has probably like a 50% chance of being in the game, especially if they go into, because really the ending of MK1, you could go anywhere. I mean, are they going to lean into more of the multiverse, which allows characters like Cassie Cage or characters from anywhere to be in the game? Or are they going to go more focused on one timeline, the Liu Kang timeline? For Mortal Kombat's sake, I really hope that they focus on the MK1 timeline, like the Liu Kang core timeline. I don't want this multiverse thing. I don't know how Cetrion would work. And then again, I'm knowledgeable enough to do all this. But if there's, if you have your own takes, make sure you drop a comment down below. And, if you like this so far, make sure you subscribe. Join the Legion, the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion, for more content like this. But yeah, I think Cetrion is like a 50 to 75. Actually, I'll put her in the 50 because she's not really a highly requested character to come back because thinking about popularity, she's more of the forgettable character, her and Collector. But yeah, I think she's probably on the upper end of the 50. Like, there's literally just a 50-50 chance. Maybe even lower, maybe like a 45 chance or a 40 chance. But if you think about it, 50-50 chance, it sounds high, but if you run 50-50 on every character, half of these characters will not be in the game, because it's like a 50-50, it's a coin toss. Chameleon, I don't think Chameleon's going to be in the game. I don't see a reason why Chameleon would be in the game. And that's just about that. They barely have, and might as well, like, I have this Chameleon. This Chameleon has like a higher chance of being in the game because she had some involvement in Chaos Reigns, but I honestly think she's just a glorified background character. But I like her, so NetherRealm could happily prove me wrong on the Chameleons. Next up is Kira. Where does Kira go? So out of these NetherRealm or these Midway 3D era characters, I actually want to see a Kira return. Now hear me out. This is just my personal take. So obviously in this game we had no special forces, no Black Dragon. I think in Mortal Kombat 13, we're going to get some involvement with the Black Dragon clan. And we're going to get Kano back, we're going to get Sonya, and we're going to get the special forces, like Jax, Sonya against Kano. But Kano can't act alone, right? You could have Kano, Cabal, and I would like to see, they've been following a theme of reintroducing 3D era characters. like for example Reiko, Astra, Havoc, people like that in Mortal Kombat 1. It was a huge, revival. Half the roster was 3D era characters. I say they should follow the theme and reintroduce these characters and revitalize them. So as a job, even if she's just a jobber in the game, like a Natara jobber, I say you could reintroduce Kira into the game and have her be like a Kano goon, a Black Dragon goon for the, for Kano. So I say, in my personal opinion, I think she does have a higher chance because of the trends that NetherRealm has been doing, bringing in these characters. But yeah, Lee May. So Lee May had a pretty good role in MK, but is she gonna come back though? Do you think her time is up, or do you think that Lee May is gonna come back? Now she did have this role of being, the protector, and she was a little bit in was she in Chaos Reigns? I don't even remember, to be honest. I just remember her being like exiled, sort of, and then proving her loyalty again. I think she does have a 50, probably like I'd say the 30 to 50, because I think out of all the 3D air characters and stuff that are in the game, she has a lower chance. She's like similar to Astra but less, because I don't know, I think she could sit this game out. If anything, she could come back in another game or be an NPC, because they like NPCs. Devora. Now, Devora is kind of like an outlier character because she could be involved in any story if the writers choose so. But knowing NetherRealm likes to ride Devora like hell, I think she has a 50 to 75% chance because it seems like they love her. They make her kill Scorpion, The fans don't like her, but, NetherRealm does. I think she has a 50 to 75% chance, especially because she hasn't been introduced in this timeline yet. So, we'll see. Dagon. Now, Dagon is the leader of the Red Dragon clan, and like I said, if my predictions are correct and they're gonna go into Black Dragon clan, I don't see the Red Dragon being a thing yet, unless like they're there in the background and they have like a triple threat war. But if they're gonna have Dagon, they're gonna have to either make new characters to bring back the Red Dragons, like they're gonna have to bring back Mavado wherever he is, and have him be like a goon, or like retcon some characters to be in the Red Dragon, or they could bring back Su Hao. Imagine. But I don't think Dagon's gonna be in it. He has a pretty low chance, especially if Taven's not in it. I don't really see a point. Darius, same thing. He's kind of like I really don't know what his character is. I know he's like a chaos bringer, like he's sort of like Havoc, but he's just Darius. I don't think he's gonna have a big role in the story, especially because I don't think Havoc is gonna have a big role, because they kind of overhyped Havoc being like the big bad. He's gonna be an MK13, Chaos Realm, blah 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 blah. But I don't think Havoc has a higher chance because of his popularity, and plus, he ended being at the top of the meta, so players are like, man, we should have Havoc, right? If they explore the Chaos Realm, I think Havoc will obviously have to be in the game. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, and then if they do that, I'm gonna put Hotaru next to him, because they're kind of like polar opposites. I would have thought that since Havoc was in this game, Hotaru would have been in the game as well. But the thing is, they didn't really explore the Chaos Realm at all, so there would be no reason for Sato, the Order Realm, to be in it, or at least have any major involvement in the story. If they do a more of like a Realm War thing, definitely Hotaru, because he is the representation of the Order Realm. And same thing as if they do more of like a Realms War, then Havoc would be in it, most definitely. But other than that, I think they're on the lower end of the spectrum of the chance. Obviously, all these characters have a chance of being in the game. However, it just goes down to what the writers think. Ermac. Now, he's Jared now. I think Ermac has a high chance of being in the game, like 95 to 99. The last main, release that he was in was MKX. Obviously, he was in MK1, but he was DLC. I'm talking about like main roster releases. And I think he's due for one, especially because he's like a popular ninja. I think he will most definitely be a main character, especially because he plays a big role. Aaron Black, I think Aaron Black is gonna get introduced, especially because he is like an immortal. Especially if they follow like the timeline of the Shao Kahn Civil War, they could have him either be just a random outlaw bounty hunter or side with Shao Kahn. I think Aaron Black has a high chance. He is extremely popular as well. Frost, I don't think Frost is. Well, it depends because based off of the ending of Chaos Reigns, it's very Lin Kuei heavy, but and they're obviously going into the Cyber Initiative. So there is a chance Frost could be in it, but I do think it's a lower chance because, I mean, is there anyone out there that cares about Frost? I just want to know. I know, like, Frost, I know she was a cool character, but is there anyone out there that legitimately cares about Frost? I mean, I don't really care. I think she's going to be in the 30 to 50%. I think 2 cyborgs is enough. If they are going to make another cyborg, they would either do Cyber Smoke or Cyber Sub-Zero again. Ferrator. I personally want this character to come back, but I think it's more of like a 30 to 50. It's if they do come back, they would just be like a jobber, you know what I mean? And jobbers are basically interchangeable, right? You could have a jobber be like Aaron Black, or a jobber be Ferrator, or a jobber be Baraka, or any of these characters, Devora, right? Ermac. These are all like sort of like jobber characters, at least in the trends of like the modern MK games, and they're kind of interchangeable. Like their roles could be replaced by any other character, and it just goes by what do the fans want more, who do the developers care about more. And I think Ferrator is kind of on the lower end of the spectrum. He's been one of the weaker, newer characters in MKX, and I think I'd very much rather have an Aaron Black again, or if possible have both of them, but I don't think so. Garrus, I think Garrus is gonna sit this game out. He's been in 2 games in a row right now, and his role, he was in MK1, but his role was very lackluster. He was just kind of there, right? I mean, he was like an advisor, but he could have just been in the background, you know what I mean? I think it's still a pretty high chance because there's still a chance that they go into the multiverse stuff, but I think it's probably like 50-50 on Garrus. We'll put Garrus right here. And this is not like in any order. I'm just moving them around, just cuz. Goro. Now, I do believe that they're gonna go into the Shao Kahn, trying to reclaim or like fight Melina for the throne. So I do think Goro's gonna have a role in the story. I think it's about a 50-50 shot that he would be like a playable character though, but I think he will for sure be mentioned in the background or some way. Su Hao. Where does Su Hao stand? I think he's gonna be on the lower end of the spectrum, obviously, because we can't really have Su Hao without Dagon or without Mavado. And Su Hao is probably one of the most least liked MK characters of all time. But I want to see him back someday. Okay, Kung Lao. I think Kung Lao has a very high chance of being in the game, perhaps higher than Jade because of the MK1 base game ending. Now, if you look at the ending of the base game, it ends with those guys drinking tea. They're like the Earthrealm Avengers, right? And they were written so well in the first half, but they kind of fumbled them in like the second half. They kind of just disappeared. But I don't think Kung Lao's gonna sit out a game. He's a fan favorite. He's almost in like every game. One of the most recognizable characters. Even had his own spin-off standalone, Shaolin Monks. I do think Kung Lao is gonna be in it. Jackie Briggs, same thing with Cassie Cage. I don't think I should explain myself again. She's a combat kid. Jax is probably not going to be old by the time we meet him, so I don't think Jackie's going to be in it. Jax, I think Jax has a high chance of being in it because of the special forces. He did sit, this last game out, and people wanted him back. Yeah, it's Jax. Johnny Cage, I think he's almost guaranteed to be in the game. One, because of the MK2 movie coming out. It's like centered around him, and you really can't have like a game without Johnny. He's like that one character that just is like in every single game. I think one of the only games he missed was Deception, and that game was missing Johnny Cage. He's the comic relief. Cabal, I think Cabal is gonna be in this game. I think he has a higher chance of being in the game because one, he's a popular character as well, and you know, if they go into Black Dragon with Kano, I think Cabal is gonna have some sort of situation or be a jobber for either the Special Forces or the Black Dragon, depending on what, you know, the timeline alters him to be. You know, because in MK9 he was a police officer with Stryker, and in the original timeline he was in the Black Dragon clan. Kai, Master Kai. Now Kai is an interesting one because he is a Shaolin monk, and he was mentioned a lot in MK1 if you paid attention to Ashra. Like, she had some voice lines like, Master Kai has taught me well. I think he was in the ending of Ashra, or like he was mentioned. So I think NetherRealm is itching the idea of bringing back Kai. They got to revitalize him in some way, but I think he's on the lower end of the spectrum, 30 to 50%. I do think there are other 3D era characters that they should bring back, you know, ahead of Kai, because Kai was kind of basic. He just had these fireball powers, which, you know, if you have like Liu Kang, you basically have Kai, or any other character, right? It's very basic. So they got to really change him up really good in order for that to happen. Scarlet, I do think Scarlet, you know, is in the same boat as like the 50 to 75. It's just a fan favorite character that they just bring back just cause. She's like in the same thing with Devora, where her backstory doesn't really align with really any of the characters, maybe other than what, like Shang Tsung or something, right? So it doesn't really make sense to have her in the game as like a really big, you know, story arc. If anything, she's just gonna be a jobber, like kind of like a Natara sort of like role. Kano, I do think Kano's going to be in the game. They didn't have the Black Dragon last game. They will most definitely have the Black Dragon this game. Kenshi. Now, Kenshi, I originally like were to believe him as one of these bouncer characters that could sit out a few games, you know, or potentially be DLC. Like, it showed, you know, he was in MK9 as DLC, and then MKX he was in base game. He skipped 11, and then he's in MK1. Kenshi has slowly became one of the most like recognizable Mortal Kombat characters because of like, he's like, you know, the blind swordsman. He's pretty cool. And he did have a major role. Like, think of like his last game that he had a major role in, MKX. He was sort of like a glorified background character, just there to mentor maybe Takeda. But Takeda didn't really like him, right? But you know, he had that demonic thing, but he kind of compared that to MK1. He kind of had a huge step up. He got pushed to the main event, and you know, he was in the ending cutscene of MK1. I do think Kenshi's gonna have a major role, especially because they really dropped the bomb on Kenshi. Like, he is so different compared to any other character in MK1. Like, his whole Sento is so unique. His whole moveset, it's like two characters in one, man. I do think Kenshi has a high chance of being in it because of this, and because of his chemistry with, you know, Johnny Cage and stuff. But it's not really too high. But I mean, like, he has probably on the lower end of the spectrum of the 95 to 99. Kintaro. We haven't seen Kintaro in a while. I do think that he is gonna be in the game, and let me tell you why. The pre-order bonus. That's gonna be a good one, right? So usually for pre-order bonus, they like to do this big bad character. They've done, who did they do? In X they did Goro. In 11 they did Shao Kahn, and then in 1 they did Shang Tsung. I don't think like I think they're gonna have some sort of Shokan representation, and they haven't done Kintaro in a while. So I think Kintaro is a perfect opportunity for like a pre-order bonus, especially because people been wanting him back. But honestly, it really is a 50-50 shot whether they're gonna do him or some other big bad guy, who I'll get to. But I really want to see Kintaro in as a pre-order bonus. He could be put in the story as well during like the Outworld Civil War, you know, breaking Shao Kahn out. But yeah, Katana is basically confirmed. Katana's a very loved character. Like, it's basically like Johnny. Like, I don't really need to explain them because of how loved they are. They're basically gonna be in like every single game, you know, especially because she is very, very involved. She didn't really have much of a role in MK1. I think she is gonna have a bigger role in MK whatever the next one is, 2 or 13. But yeah, Collector, I don't think Collector's gonna be in it. He might be like some sort of crypt owner or something, because he's in the same role with all these other jobbers. I mean, like, he's really like, do you guys want Collector back? I mean, I don't really want him back. I think Collector could be like a merchant. There's a rumored conquest mode in MK13, especially because look at this. All the other fighting games are doing some sort of like open world. You know, the Street Fighter 6 had World Tour, Tekken 8 had that arcade thing, right? And I think MK1 or MK13 should bring back conquest mode. Have Collector be like a merchant or something. I think he's gonna come back, but not as the main roster, main playable fighter. Kotal Khan next. Okay, Kotal Khan. I don't think Kotal Khan is gonna be in this game. I put him in the lower spectrum because I don't think we're gonna have a Kotal Khan before a Shao Kahn. If anything, he might be in the game, but he might be General Kotal or have just some sort of background role. Kung Jin. Now, Kung Jin is a hard one. I feel like he could come back, but I don't want him back because I'd rather have some other character. So I'm gonna put Kung Jin on the lower end of the spectrum, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I feel like everything that, like, he's like a bowman, right? And his moves are, he's like a Shaolin. He has like those this things, right? But I feel like Kung Jin is very similar to Nightwolf, and I think Nightwolf has a higher chance of being in the game because he has a more flexible role in the story. He's like a big good guy, you know, he's one of the more powerhouses for the good team, and he wasn't introduced in this timeline yet. I do think a Nightwolf should be introduced soon. I know there were rumors of a female Nightwolf. Any Nightwolf would be cool, but I do think because of that, Nightwolf probably has a better chance of being in the game than Kung Jin. Liu Kang is basically confirmed. He's the fire god. He's gonna have some sort of role in the story. Meat, I don't think he's gonna be in the game. He might be like a joke character. He really is just like a joke character, so there's really no reason for him to be in the game at all. Baraka and Tarkat. Now, Baraka was in 2 games in a row, MK11 and MK1. I do think Baraka it has in the lower end of the spectrum now because they kind of fleshed out the Tarkat story in this game. If anything, he might be an NPC or perhaps a DLC character. But I feel like it is time for this famous Tarkatan to sit this one out. I really don't see a major role for him other than, like, because I know he's good, unless they pivot and they make Tarkat drive him mad and turn him back into a jobber, but I wouldn't want that. Fujin. I want Fujin back, but now Fujin is hard. He does have he's like a similar to a Nightwolf role in the story. I'm going to put Fujin at the 50-50 because I really don't know where I stand with Fujin. He is a popular character. He was in MK1. People really wanted him back when MKX showed him, like in the cutscene. He's a very cool wind powers and stuff. It depends on what they're going to do with Raiden because he is Raiden's brother. So we'll see. 50-50. Comment where you think Fujin would go because I'm lost with him. Kronika, no shot. Really, I don't want him back. Rain. Now, if they're going to go with this whole, like, Outworld Civil War thing, Rain could be in it, but it's kind of hard. I think he's on the lower end of the 50-50 spectrum because he is a very popular character as well, but I think thinking of it, like, realistically how NetherRealm would do it, maybe not. I could see him sitting a game out again, which is unfortunate. Especially because the iteration of Rain we got in MK1 was like a water wizard. I want to see like Ninja Rain back. Shang Tsung, I think he has a really high chance of being in it again because he wasn't like killed or anything. I think it's like almost guaranteed. But I'll put him in the 99 because he's Shang Tsung. We can't really have, well, we have games without him, but he's too iconic, and you know, we still haven't fleshed out our timeline Shang Tsung from MK1. Taven, if Dagon's not going to be in it, I don't think Taven's going to be in it, and that's about it. Drummond. I could see Drummond coming back as some sort of like jobber character, but I'll put him in like the upper end of like this tier where similar to Collector, Ferrator, he just might be this jobber that's in the game, and it depends on what they do. And I'll skip ahead and do the same thing with Moloch. I say Moloch has like a higher chance of being in it as a pre-order bonus than Drummond, But I'd rather see Drummond back because he kind of looks cool. He has like that Oni mask and everything. But yeah, Mavado. I'd say Mavado. He's a Red Dragon member. I want to see Mavado back. He was a cameo and he was So a lot of people don't know this. His outfit was its name is Takeda's enemy. Now, I don't know if they're going to go with this Takeda thing being like Kenshi's son, but I do believe Takeda, like out of all the combat kids, Takeda probably has the highest. Like, where is he? Am I missing him? Where's Takeda? He's right here. I'll do him ahead. I do think Takeda has a higher chance of being in the base game, because like they could, retcon it or say something else like he was a kid, or make up something, because the fans, he's arguably one of the most popular combat kids, and they brought him back in MK1 and he was pretty cool. So out of all of them, I think Takeda has the highest chance, and because of that, I think Mavado has a pretty high chance. Because of the outfit that they had, it was like Takeda's enemy. I would make fun of him and be like, yo, Mavado's Takeda's op. So if they bring back Takeda, which is probably like a 50% chance, I say I put Mavado up here in the 50% chance where he could come back to be in like a little short feud with Takeda. And Dairu. I don't think Dairu is going to be in it, because there's a leading theory that Havoc is Dairu in this timeline. And where did I put Havoc? Havoc is right here. It probably put him in the upper end of the 50. So if Havoc is Dairu, we'd rather just get Havoc. Onaga. Now, have you seen Reiko's ending where he like revives Onaga? I think Onaga is going to be one of the, like, a pre-order bonus, I could say, or perhaps maybe even the main villain. I say Onaga has like a 50-50 shot at being in the game. Probably even higher, like on the lower end of the 75, because people have been requesting him for like forever. And because of like the ending of Reiko and the whole Outworld Civil War thing, I could see them going a route where they like revive Onaga. That would be cool. Mocap is probably not going to be in the game. And I'll say that. Tanya. Tanya's going to put it on you at a probably a lower end of the 75. Tanya started to become one of the more popular characters. She's the female yellow ninja. And I think that because as of right now, as of the ending, Melina is still Khan. And they have a little romance, Tanya. And you know how the communities nowadays, they want their representation. So Tanya, I think, will be in it. She has a pretty unique moveset. I want her to bring back that Dragon Naginata from MKX. Remember, she would like pogo stick around. Ding, ding, ding. If you watch my other videos, you can see me playing as her. She was my main. I'm biased with this, but realistically, I do think she has a pretty high chance of coming back. And if she doesn't, she will either be in the same game as Jade or be completely replaced by Jade. Motaro, I think he's going to be a background character, not playable, because I think he is very hard to program. So he's kind of wide and he's tall, and that's the thing. If you knock Motaro down, he won't get up the same way as any other character standing on 2 feet will. And that's a bit, of like an animation battle, because his physics are gonna act different than any other character. He might be a boss character where that specific boss acts different, especially if Shao Kahn is the main villain of this game. Then we could have a Motaro as a sub boss. But I don't think he's gonna be playable. Cobra. I don't think Cobra is gonna be in the game, but if they do revive the Black Dragon, they could revive Cobra, at least in the background. So I'll put him in the same boat as like 50-50 shot. It depends. Like, they'll either do Cobra or Kira, but I think they'll do Kira. Megan Fox, Natara, Veternius. We haven't explored Veternius like at all yet. I do think she has a 50-50 shot. I don't know if I should put her in the same tier as Scarlet. Maybe I put Scarlet a little too high, because this is 50 and this is 50. Maybe I like messed up on that. I'll put like Scarlet like around the 50-50 slot too. Put her on the lower end of that. Natara as well, because she's just the jobber, man. What else could I say? Quan Chi does have a higher chance of being in the game. He is a sorcerer. He is still alive, and Shang Tsung is still here. So I do think Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are going to do stuff together, and not the way you're thinking. Raiden is basically gonna be guaranteed in the game. I mean, he's Earthrealm's champion. He is gonna get that spotlight again. Guarantee you. Reiko. I think Reiko has a higher chance of being in the game, and let me tell you why. Because he had a pretty cool role in MK1, and it sets up, for Reiko and Shao Kahn to start a rebellion against the Melina thing. And who is the perfect jobber for Shao Kahn is Reiko. So I say bring Reiko back. I think he has a higher chance of being in the game just because of his relation to Shao Kahn. And they could probably potentially set up something where he feuds with Shao Kahn, like in his lore where he puts on Shao Kahn's helmet and he is the new Shao Kahn. Scorpion is gonna be in the game, guaranteed. Striker is gonna be in the game. Imagine. I think Striker's gonna be like a 50-50 shot. I mean, I can't think of a 50-50 character more than like Striker. I mean, people want him in the game, but he really doesn't stand anywhere like in the story. I could see. I mean, like he could do something with the special forces, but then it's gonna take away his charm. Striker is probably the most like weakest, if you think about like this game like logically. He's probably the weakest character. He's just a police officer fighting bad guys, fighting demons, fighting Kintaro and winning, fighting Ermac and winning. Bring Striker back. I want him back. Reptile, I think he has a high chance of being in the game. Probably like 75 to 95 because he had a pretty decent role in the story. Sarina, I think she has like a good chance of being brought back because of, the fans love her. She was experimented with as a cameo. I think it's her time to actually have, a main roster game. I think if she's in the same boat as like Astra, if they bring Astra back, they probably will bring Serena back and probably put them in like a little side story. Shao Kahn has probably a high chance of coming back because of this Outworld Civil War thing that I'm talking about. And, I was talking about it before, and, I'm not going to say the same thing over and over, so I don't really need to explain. And plus, like, we're going to see Shao as Khan, right? There's no doubt in my mind. Shiva, I say Shiva has a 50-50 chance as well. Probably more like so up here if they bring back like the whole Outworld races. I think it's going to be very Outworld heavy in this. And this is me looking at it mostly on a perspective if they stay within our timeline. I don't want them to venture out and go to different timelines. Shinnok, I don't think Shinnok is going to be in it. I think he is going to be in this timeline, but I don't think he's going to have a major role up until either like Shang Tsung, Quan Chi are dead or, Shao Kahn is defeated. He's more of like the after villain. Shujinko, if Onaga is going to be in, I think Shujinko is going to have a role in the story, but I don't know if he's going to be playable. I'll put him at 50-50. I think Shujinko is a cool character if done right. I don't know how they could do him in, this. I mean, they're just going to mash up all the characters' moves and just make them do everything. I don't think they would do that. Maybe they would just have him like in the conquest mode or like as a mentor or something. I think he's going to be in the game. But if they're going to have him like have a big role in the game because I think Onaga is going to come back, I think Shujinko is going to be like an NPC or a character in the game. Sindel is dead. I think Sindel is going to sit this one out because she's dead, and I want them to focus on like Melina. Melina she's the Khan. And I think she's going to be leading, like, I keep getting confused because I'm so used to the old timeline. I was going to call them Edenia, but it's still Outworld. The main Outworld good guy force against Shao Kahn. It's going to be like a civil war between her and Shao Kahn. That's what I think. Smoke has probably a 50-50 chance. I mean, again, he's one of those characters that are 50-50 as well. He didn't really have a major role in MK1. He's a cool character. Everybody wants him to come back. Actually, I'll put him a little bit higher because I think that they're going to turn him into Cyber Smoke. That's what I think. If they're going to bring back Cyrax and Sector, I think Smoke is going to be in it, and he's going to have a little side story between that. Sonya is basically guaranteed, but we're going to put her right here. She has a pretty high role in the game. She's basically the leader of the Special Forces. I think she sat this one out, and she's going to come back and do a little thingy thing with Johnny. Okay, I think Sub-Zero is going to be in it, of course. Noob Saibot, most definitely after Chaos Reign's ending. I think there's almost a guaranteed shot that he's going to be in the game. He's popular, and the ending basically set him up as like a huge guy. Tremor, ooh, he's like a 50-50 chance. He is the brown ninja after all, and if I'm speaking of Black Dragon stuff, we could finally have Tremor in an actual story. And yeah, he'll be like a jobber for the... And then we have Sindel again. I don't know why Sindel's on here twice. I guess we could say this is Dark Sindel. I guess we'll rate Dark Sindel. Hypothetically, if they continue this multiverse BS, then Sindel probably has a... Dark Sindel has like a 50-50 shot of being it. There. So this is it. This is what I think I think this is what I think of all the characters and their chances of being in MK13. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Look, I think it's pretty solid. Look, we got all the main guys. You can't really have a game without Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Katana. And then you have all these characters that are fairly popular that, they're probably not going to sit out a game. And then here you have like the mid, the upper echelon. And then these two are sort of like the 50-50, upper end of the 50-50, lower end of the 50-50. And then these characters are probably not going to be in the game. But yeah, this is me. I know it's a bit of a longer video. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while now. I want to do the same thing with Injustice 3, but Injustice 3 is going to be more of a harder video to do because I forgot the story of Injustice 2, to be honest. So I got to do some research on that before making a video like this on Injustice 3. But if you like this, and if you could speed around through the video, I don't care. But if you like this type of content, make sure you like, subscribe, join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion, and let me know what you think about this roster down in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Yeah. That actually kind of hurt. Let's not do that again.